We have a good attendance this morning. So we can start our preview meeting. First of all, good morning and welcome to everybody. Thanks for your attendance and interest in participating in this procedure for PV systems, water cistern, acquisitions and installation services for the Community Energy and Water Resilience Installation Program. My name is William Rios Maldonado. I am the Procurement Director for the CDBG-DR program in the Department of Housing. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded. Along with me this morning is Engineer Joel Muñiz, Programmatic Director, Attorney Maria del Carmen Figueroa, who will be joining us in a few minutes. We'll be talking along with Grant Manager Representative Ivana Harrington on Section 3, Minorities and Women Business Enterprises, and among other requirements for the CDBG-DR program. Also is Mili Rosa from our Grant Manager, and from the Department of Housing is Attorney Winnet Cortez, our procurement specialist assigned to this procedure, also Joel Ocasio and Serge Acevedo. Remember that all procurement processes shall be conducted in accordance to the terms established in the procurement manual and contractual requirements to guarantee full and open competition or fair treatment to all persons or entities involved in each procurement process. The procurement manual is available at our website under the reference materials tab. So we strongly recommend that you download the document and read it carefully and know the concepts that will be helping you on preparing your proposal. So it is our intention that this meeting helps you in the preparation and of a responsive and competitive proposal. So now I will let Doyle to talk about the scope of work. Go ahead, Doyle.
Hello, good morning all. Great to see the interest in the program and huge participation for this program. So just to give you a quick overview on what's the program, what comprises, what's the basic scope. Obviously, you guys have this in your IFB documentation, so we encourage you to give a detailed assessment of those of the language published. Okay, so what is the program? So the Community Energy and Water Resilience Installations Program aims to provide homeowners, businesses, and public facilities energy and water efficiency improvements to promote resilience with the installation of PV systems and battery backup. For the sake of this IFB, even though it mentions businesses and public facilities, we are focusing on the R3 program. So we are focusing on single family housing, okay? Single family dwellings. Again, the program could eventually manage to work with other programs, but for the sake of this IFB, we're focusing on single family housing within the R3 program. What is it that we're going to be doing? PV systems with battery backups. For the energy resilience installation, the photovoltaic system with battery backups will allow eligible applicants to have the ability to run critical loads, life support devices, and permit for shelter in place options during outages. For water resilient installations, the water storage system will provide households with the ability to store water to be used when there is an interruption in water services. Okay, so it's pretty basic, pretty straightforward what the program needs to accomplish, right? The outcomes from this program. What's the structure in a administration perspective, right? So we'll have a group of PMs. That's an RFP that already was published, and actually today we are closing the submissions for the proposals for that RFP. What are the roles and responsibilities for these PMs? Well, they have the general program management and administration, complete the application and pre-installation assessment review, scope of work review, and program award coordination. After the installations, they have the final inspection, payment request, and closeout for each of the cases. What brings us today here is the acquisition and installation services. This is what we call the installers. So what are the roles and responsibility? The acquisition and installations of the PV system with battery backups, and water storage systems. Conduct and perform pre-installation assessment visits and the documentation from that visit. Perform decommissioning tests. Assist with PMs during final inspection, orientation, and training to applicants. That's a very important part. Everything is important, but that's something that we as a program want to address. Equipment and scenarios. This is a really simple flow chart, right, of what are the outcomes, what is it that we want to accomplish. Starting with the PV solar systems with backups, we'll have two scenarios. One of them is for dwelling units where an Energy Star refrigerator is present. We'll have a minimum of 3 kilowatts DC power, right? PV modules with a battery backup bank of 48 voltage and a required battery bank output of a minimum of 9 kilowatts hour with an autonomy of 20 hours for units with Energy Star refrigerators. Loads also includes one medical life support device. The required battery chemistry is lithium ion. Scenario number 2, this is for dwelling units where a non-Energy Star refrigerator is present and it will not be replaced, okay? We'll work with a minimum of 4.3 kilowatts PV modules, the same with battery backup of 48 volts and a required battery bank output of a minimum of 12.8 kilowatts hour with an autonomy, again, of 20 hours for households with no Energy Star certified refrigerators. Everything else is the same. Water storage systems, that's going to be a pretty basic system. So we'll have some allowances, and those will be for the refrigerators where they should be replaced, light bulbs replacement, and the environmental review if it's the case that we need to enter in a full review. Again, we encourage you to go through the documents and see the detail on every one of those points. Supporting procedures. The PRDOH will provide the supporting document program templates such as the pre-installation assessment, the commissioning report, and other template forms that the program will require. Also, we'll be providing the training to the selected bidders regarding the program processes, those templates that I just mentioned, the grant management system that we're going to be using, among other programmatic matters. Okay. Okay, going just really a really quick view on the cost forms that you'll find as Exhibit O of the IFB package. We're going to start with cost form number 1. This is a unit pricing. So you're going to start with the PV systems. You're going to give a cost per watt. Okay. For the water storage system, you're going to give us a couple of different scenarios, right? You're going to give us unit prices for 300-gallon water storage system, 350, 400, 450, and 500. Please note or give attention to the under footer notes there. Really important to give attention to those, okay? Cost form number 2, this will be a system pricing. So this will be, and here you see that you have the quantities that the program is establishing as part of the IFB. So for this system pricing, you're gonna give the price, obviously, in according to what you gave as a unit price, but the pricing for the system of 3 kilowatts and for the 4.3 kilowatt system. As a matter of giving this, say, IFB or total pricing, you use the pricing that you gave for the 500-gallon water storage system scenario. Moving to the allowances, this is the cost for allowances, third cost form page or scenario. You have the refrigerators first. We have two different capacities there. Light bulb replacement, unit price for those, and environmental reviews. Section 106, environmental review, ACM testing and report, LBP testing and report. Again, give attention to that footnotes there, okay? And basically to end and to give a total big cost from your part, you'll have the sum of the PV system acquisition and installation, the water system storage, the water storage system acquisition and installation, and an allowance that the program has already established. Okay, just a really quick IFB schedule overview. Again, please refer to your IFB package, but I'll just go to a couple of the points that I think are important. This is pretty standard, right? But we will have a public bid opening. So we encourage you to go. You have until March 10 to request the participation. Participation is going to be limited to a quantity. I'm not sure what's that quantity right now, but that's on the package. So we encourage you to send that email if you want to be there. On the alternative, there's going to be a Zoom accessible for everyone that wants to participate. So anyways, we'll encourage you to send that email and participate of the public bid opening. Okay. That the public bid opening is going to be March 11 at 3 p.m. we expect to have a notice of award for April 6th and execute contracts by April 16th. Okay, so anything that you need, and I know that our procurement partners will give you this information also, but anything you need, any questions that you have, please refer them to CDBG-DR dash procurement at vivienda.pr.gov. Okay, so this is my part. I'll let you with our procurement team. Thank you.
Thank you, Doyle. Hi, my name is Winnet Cortez. I'm talking about the liquidated damages, but please remember the term of the contract shall be 2 years with optional extension of up to 1 year additional. About the liquidated damages, this IFB provide for liquidated damages as related to established timeframes of performance. The PRDOH and the bidder will agree on the timetable for the deliverable of each task. For this IFB, the PRDOH established as liquidated damages $500 for each calendar day for the PV system equipment installation and related services that a deliverable required is late until deemed in compliance subject to a maximum of $5,000. In the aspect of WSS equipment installation and related services, the PRDOH established as liquidated damages $100 for each calendar day that a deliverable required is late until deemed in compliance subject to a maximum $1,000. About the insurance requirements, bidders shall be aware that in case of resulting selected for the award of this IFB, the bidder must have a minimum of required insurance policies and coverage. For detail or more information regarding insurance requirement refers to section 3.7 of the IFB instruction and attachment 4. Please remember the most important date is the bid due date is in March 11, 2021 at 3 p.m. Submission of inquiries and addenda. Bidders shall submit all questions in writing on or before February 26, 2021 at 5 p.m. to the CDBG-DR mailing address. Responses to all bidder questions will be answered by Addenda and will be posted on the CDBG-DR website. All procurement documents pertaining to the procurement process, including addenda issued by the PRDOH, are and will be available for download on CDBG website. All prospective bidders must monitor the website to retrieve addenda if any issue for this procurement process. About the bid submission, responses to the IFB will only be accepted by physical means. Responses to the IFB submitted after the prescribed deadline will not be accepted. Bidders shall submit the responses in one sealed envelope with the name and contact information of the bidder and the IFB number in the center of the envelope. The contents of such envelope shall include all documents required by Exhibit A, bid checklist. The envelope must contain the original bid and one hard copy of a +1 electronic copy in a universal serial bus USB flash drive. Bidders are advised that the PRDOH will only accept hard copy bid submissions. Bid must be submitted on or before March 11, 2021 at 3 p.m. If bidder is interested in deliver the IFB response before the scheduled bid due date, the bidder must notify the PRDOH at least 2 days in advance via email to coordinate the date and time of the delivery. The use of masks or face covering are mandatory. If signs of illness are shown, the bidder will not permit access to the building nor deliver the bid. Please maintain a distance of at least 6 feet from all other individuals when dropping off bids. Now, Serge Acevedo will be talking about the bid opening.
Good morning, everybody. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, a maximum capacity of 30 persons has been established to attend to the in-person bid opening. Only one representative of each entity bidder is allowed to the bid opening. If you're interested in attending to the in-person bid opening, you must reserve your space by sending an email at CDBG-DR-procurement@vivienda.pr.gov on or before March 10, 2021. It is mandatory the use of face masks and the 6 feet distance between the participants at the bid opening. The PRDOH will show a projector with images at the request of the present bidders, or to the contrary, to say aloud the total amount of the bid submitted by every bidder. The information will be written in an abstract of the bid opening. There will be no obligation or award declaration on the bid opening. Bidders that aren't able to attend to the in-person bid opening to be held at the headquarters are invited to participate via internet. If you are interested in attending to the virtual bid conference, you may request an invitation via email to the above-mentioned email on or before March 10, 2021. And now I'm going to talk about the evaluation criteria. This IFB includes the following evaluation criteria: mandatory requirements. Mandatory requirements will be scored as either pass or fail. Failure to comply with all the mandatory requirements of this IFB will result in the disqualification of the bidder. Mandatory requirements includes, among others, financial requirements, audited, reviewed, or compiled financial statements for the most recent 2 years issued by a certified public accountant and prepared in accordance with U.S. generally accepted accounting principles. The financial statements must include a balance sheet, statement of operations, statement of cash flows, and notes to the financial statements. Copy if income tax returns for the same 2 years. If bidder has more than 1 year in operation but less than 2, please provide the requested information for the last fiscal or calendar year. Most recent interim, year-to-date, financial statements for a period ending not later than 60 days before the bid submission date. The interim financial statements must include at least a balance sheet and a statement of operations, line of credit or cash availability. The amount required of the unencumbered line of credit, available cash balances, or a combination thereof is a minimum of $700,000. Pending litigation and non-bankruptcy sworn statements. The information submitted will permit a pass or fail grading following a scoring process by the PRDOH. A total grading of 70% or more is required to obtain a rating of pass. All documents authorized by a notary public outside of Puerto Rico jurisdiction shall be authenticated and include an official certificate or apostille from the Secretary of State, county clerk, or corresponding entity of the state government. Now I'm going to talk about the bid bond. It is important because the bid must be accompanied by a bid bond made payable to the PRDOH in the amount of 5% of the bid. The bid bond may be presented by the bidder in the form of a certified bank check or a bid bond in the form attached as bid bond. If a bid bond is used, it must be issued by a surety appearing in the latest U.S. Department of Treasury's listing of approved sureties and authorized to do business in Puerto Rico. Bids will remain subject to acceptance for 90 days after the bid due date. Nonetheless, the PRDOH, at its discretion, may release a bid and return the related bid bond prior to that date. The bid bond of the successful bidder will be retained until such bidder has submitted all documents required for execution of the contract, and the bidder and the PRDOH have duly executed such contract. Now my coworker Yor is going to talk about other requirements of the IFB process. Well,
Thank you, Serge. Well, I'm gonna talk about other requirements to submit your bids. Orientation and training to applicants. The selected bidder shall perform orientation and training to the applicants regarding operation and maintenance of the installed system and equipment. The selected bidder must deliver all applicable operation and maintenance manuals of the installed system to each applicant receiving a system along with any other required documents. The selected bidder shall obtain all required permits and licenses for the project. Also, the selected bidder shall be responsible for any certification and/or notification to the applicable state agencies regarding the services to be provided to each project, including interconnection certifications and fees, with accordance with the Act 17 of April 11 of 2019, known in Spanish as Ley de Política Pública Energética de Puerto Rico. All fees associated with the permits, notifications, and licenses are the responsibility of the selected bidder. About the PV systems and water storage systems, the designer shall be responsible for the pre-installation assessment of the projects to be performed as a service. A certified installer, a licensed professional engineer, and/or a licensed architect in Puerto Rico with the expertise of 5 years or more in the construction industry shall conduct the assessment, except for the load analysis, which must be performed by a licensed professional structural engineers. About warranties, the selected bidder shall warrant all its products for the following periods: 10 years guarantee for the photovoltaic system panels, 25 years of linear performance guarantee for the PV modules, 10 years of guarantee for battery bank and inverter, and 5 years for the water storage systems. The cost of bid requirements. The cost form will be submitted by bidders using the Exhibit O, that is the cost form that Joel showed you earlier. The bidder will be compensated after full installation of the equipment mentioned before. Now, the bids will be evaluated on their technical capabilities, costs, namely the bidder's qualification and work approach, and score for each criterion will be assigned based on the maximum allowable points stated in the IFB instructions. Now, about the selection and award. If the bid is to be awarded, it will be awarded to the responsible bidder that submitted the responsible bid with the lowest cost. Award will be made at fair and reasonable prices only. The PRDOH Procurement Division will recommend the award to the PRDOH Bid Board. The award of the bid will be issued by the PRDOH Bid Board. SAM registration. The bidders and first-tier subcontractor must be registered in the System for Award Management, or SAM, at the time of the proposal of the submission, or initiate the registration process right after the bid submission. For more information about the System for Award Management, or SAM, go to www.sam.gov SAM. There is no registration fee to create or renew or update your organization's information on SAM. Awards will only be issued to entities that are clear and not ineligible for award of a contract due to suspension, debarment, or HUD imposed limited denial of participations. Now, about Section 3 and the proposed plan for Section 3. The PRDOH recognized its obligation to promote opportunities for maximum feasible participation of certified minority and women-owned business enterprises, and the employment of minority group members and women in the performance of the contracts. All participating entities engaged with PRDOH must make a commitment and demonstrate acceptable good faith effort toward the achievement of PRDOH, MBE, and WBE subcontracting goals of 20% of the entire contract value, consisting of 10% for MBE and 10% of WBE. Now we have a presentation from the Assistant Deputy Secretary for Disaster Recovery, Maria del Carmen Figueroa, for an introduction to federal civil rights compliance and labor standard for PRDOH resubmission training.
Thank you, Joel. Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen. We are going to talk about the federal civil rights compliance for this pre-bid meeting. Today, we will discuss an overview of compliance roles and responsibilities, overview of compliance areas and tools online, documenting efforts, training, and reporting. And of course, we will be discussing some FAQs. The Federal Civil Rights and Labor Standards Division encourage the Section 3 training, new hiring, and contracting opportunities compliance, the minority and woman-owned business participation compliance, the fair housing and equal opportunity compliance, and the Davis-Bacon related compliance. The roles and responsibilities for compliance are contractors' roles and responsibilities include assigning staff who will attend to the day-to-day activities for civil rights compliance, attending trainings and workshops, using tools and templates provided by PRDOH, executing activities and documentation needed, participating in PRDOH-sponsored technical assistance, and completing quarterly reporting, and of course, complying with reporting. This is a direct quote from this process, and the minority and woman-owned business enterprise is described on the Section 3.9. The Section 3.10 describes the requirements for Section 3 that we'll be discussing in more detail. Good. Let's go now to the Section 3 basics. Section 3 is a federal requirement from the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. We have adopted policies and they're available in English and Spanish in our website. Section 3, residents and individuals, describes Puerto Rico has great potential to engage Section 3 candidates, ranging from new graduates from universities or trade schools, residents of public housing, those who receive federal benefits, and those impacted by COVID-19 job losses. Section 3 resident is a public housing resident, a resident near the CDBG-DR funded project, a low-income person, or a very low-income person. Those are the income limits for Puerto Rico 2019 and 2020. And we are just getting the one family size, one member for determining the income limits for that person, that candidate. The Section 3 business concerns are the 51% or more owned by Section 3 residents, or 30% or more of the business permanent full-time employees are currently Section 3 residents, or within 3 years of the date of first employment with the business concern were Section 3 residents, or can provide evidence of a commitment to subcontract in excess of 25% of the dollar award of all subcontracts to Section 3 businesses. Section 3 forms. The Section 3 plan for contractor or subrecipient. This document template allows contractor or recipients to identify how they plan on being in compliance with Section 3 hiring, training, and contracting goals. Section 3 self-certification forms. These document templates help individuals and businesses identify if they met the requirements to be considered a Section 3 individual or businesses. Documentation of effort form. These document templates allow contractors or recipients to identify how they are performing efforts to be in compliance with Section 3 efforts. Section 3 plan. The Section 3 plan should include identify new hiring needs, identify subcontracting needs, plan outreach efforts, prepare coordinators for the day-to-day activities, provides guidance on types of activities to be performed, define a complaint procedure, understand documenting efforts requirements, understand reporting requirements. If you click here, it will take you to the website and you can download the Section 3 plan template. The Section 3, we encourage businesses and individuals to complete self-certifications forms to uncover if they met the income threshold for a Section 3 resident or a Section 3 businesses. There you have the links for the certifications forms. And we also encourage qualifying businesses to also register with HUD as a Section 3 businesses. This is the portal that HUD established, and is a great tool for you to register as a Section 3 businesses so we can know you and know that you are available for business. Let's jump to minority and woman-owned business basics and compliance. Minority and woman business enterprise is a federal requirement to ensure that when possible, contracts and other economic opportunities funded in whole or in part with federal housing and community development assistance are directed to minority business enterprises and to women business enterprises. We have adopted policies for each one, and they're available in English and Spanish in our website. Minority business enterprise is defined as a business which is at least 51% owned, operate, and controlled on a daily basis by one or more in combination American citizens of the following ethnic minority or gender, and or military veteran classifications. Those are African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, Native American, Hasidic Jew, persons with disabilities, and other individuals who can prove social and economic disadvantage. The woman business enterprise is a business concern that is at least 51% owned and controlled by one or more women, must be USA citizens or legal resident aliens, whose business formation and principal place of business are in the US or its territories, and whose management and daily operation is controlled by women. Minority woman business enterprise goals, minimum goals, are 20%, 10% for minority business enterprise and 10% for woman business enterprise. Have to be met in good faith efforts in contracting and purchasing. The MWBE forms, we have the MWB Utilization Plan. These document templates allow contractors or recipients to identify how they plan on being in compliance with MWBE contracting goals. And the MWBE waiver form. These document templates help contractors or recipients identify if they met the requirements to waive their goal for participation for MWBE. MWBE Utilization Plan. It has to include the compiled data for MWBE subcontractors, plan ahead subcontracting needs, prepare users on creating supplier or contractor lists for MWBE, provides awareness of meeting the goal for the contract, help with tracking utilization. If you click here, you can this link will take you to our website and you can download our Mwb Utilization Plan template. Also, the utilization plan should include the PRDOH Mwb Utilization Plan can be used throughout the life of your contract with PRDOH. Completing the Mwb Utilization Plan is easy. Read the general instructions in row 3, and you will complete section A, B, and F from the document. Complete the information requested in yellow cells. PRDOH templates and forms. This is how our website looks like when you enter, and when you are going to find our templates and forms. There it can be found in English and Spanish. You can download it. It's very easy. Certified minority or woman-owned businesses. Certified minority or woman-owned businesses can be those who have filed applications with SBA, for example, EPA, DOT, MBDA, and Women Business Enterprise National Council, and the Puerto Rican Minority Supplier Development Council, and other ones. Businesses who can complete the certification processes should receive documentation confirming their registered status. PRDOH invites MWBE businesses to provide copies of their certification with PRDOH. Our web form is available in English and Spanish. Now, let's talk about fair housing, equal opportunities, and other regulation related. This is a direct code from the model program contract. So in this section, documentation and record keeping, section 8, you will find that it says records documenting compliance with the fair housing and equal opportunity requirements of the CDBG-DR program regulations. So you have to maintain those documentation for evidence. This is section 26 in the model contract program management for this process, and there you have it. You have to comply with federal law and regulations and executive orders. This is section 30, equal opportunity, and you have a whole section explaining how we can assure that will not discriminate against any employee or applicant for employment because of race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. PRDOH will ensure that any of his contractors are in any non-discriminatory exercises. This is section 30 as well, equal opportunity, and there you have the part of the responsibilities that the contractor have to comply with for equal opportunity. Fair housing and equal opportunity, PRDOH, its subrecipients and contractors must comply with applicable federal civil rights law that prohibit discrimination. These include housing activities, Fair Housing Act, as well as the federal funded programs and activities. Discrimination is prohibited against the following federally protected classes: race, color, national origin, religion, sex, age, familial status, disability, gender identity, and sexual orientation. The Fair Housing Act is the Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 as amendment in 1988 and includes many executive orders, laws, and statutes. Equal opportunity is afforded to protect classes through a number of federal laws and executive orders. And there you have just a few of them. Fair housing and equal opportunity. As a recipient of HUD financial assistance, PRDOH must ensure that its programs affirmatively further access to fair housing. The PRDOH CDBG-DR program will take meaningful action to combat discrimination, overcome historic patterns of segregation, promote fair housing choice, and foster inclusive communities. All federally funded programs must ensure that policies and procedures do not deny the opportunity to participate in, access, or benefit from programs like the CDBG-DR program, including employment opportunities. These requirements are enforced by HUD Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity. And then we have reasonable accommodation. Reasonable accommodation are changes made to a program policy, practice, service, which affords individuals with disabilities an equal opportunity to enjoy the benefits of the program. Section 504 requires that federally funded programs provide requested reasonable accommodation or reasonable modifications at the cost of the program to individuals to the extent that they are reasonable and serve a verifiable disability-related need. The CDBG-DR reasonable accommodation policy provides requirements and guidance to programs about the critical due diligence and evaluation of these requests. The Federal Compliance and Labor Standards Division assists programs in the handling and evaluation of these requests as needed. Limited English proficiency. Limited English proficiency refers to a person's limited ability to read, write, speak, or understand English. PRDOH and contractors must ensure that a person's limited ability to read, write, speak, or understand English will not place them at a disadvantage in the participation of programs being funded with CDBG-DR funding throughout PRDOH. PRDOH has recently approved its language access plan to direct how PRDOH and its subrecipients and contractors will take actions to ensure meaningful access for those who are LAP or limited Spanish proficient. At least Puerto Rico has 2 million LAP Spanish speaking residents, so we need to have that access. We have adopted for housing and equal opportunity policies as well, and they're available in English and Spanish in our website, as well as the language access policy is available in English and Spanish. Well, I will lay you with Ivana Harrington, and she will talk to you about Davis-Bacon and other related acts. I will stop sharing right now.
Thank you, Mari Carmen. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay. Davis-Bacon and the related acts for construction contracts. PRDOH has published the Davis-Bacon Policy Guide, and it's available on the website in English and Spanish by clicking on the links in the slide. PRDOH, its subrecipients, and contractors must implement and comply with the DBRA policy when it's applicable. Most construction projects funded with CDBG-DR funds must comply with these requirements to ensure that laborers and mechanics are paid prevailing wages, including overtime wages for the work performed on these funded projects. Contractors awarded contracts funded with CDBG-DR funds are responsible for understanding and complying with DBRA requirements. PRDOH and its subrecipients are responsible for reviewing payroll and other records related to the work performed on CDBG-DR funded construction projects to ensure the compliance. As part of our guidelines and policy document, we discuss the applicability of the following Davis-Bacon related acts. Let's talk about the Davis-Bacon Act. The Davis-Bacon Act requires payment of prevailing wages as determined by DOL. It provides a fair opportunity to compete in building programs funded by the federal government. It prevents contractors from bidding below an area's prevailing wages. It generally applies to federally funded assisted projects valued at more than $2,000. Contracts for the following types of work on public buildings or public works are included as part of this act: construction, alteration, and/or repair, painting, and decorating. Now let's look at the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act, or QASA. Workers shall not work more than 40 hours a week unless they receive overtime pay. Projects must comply with safety standards as well. The Copeland Anti-Kickback Act speaks about the requirement of wages at least to be paid once a week, and only permissible payroll deductions are allowed. The Fair Labor Standards Act sets the federal minimum wage and additional overtime requirements. Let's talk about pre-construction. On DBRA covered projects, PRDOH will administer and enforce all DBRA labor standards requirements and implement the roles and responsibilities required as per the policy guide. We also seek to ensure all covered contracts include DBRA and other labor standards clauses and applicable wage determinations. We also want to ensure that no contracts are awarded to any contractor that is federally debarred or otherwise ineligible. We conduct pre-bid meetings such as this one and pre-construction meetings with contractors. We also provide technical assistance for these requirements. Let's look at payroll review. On DBRA covered projects, the Department of Housing will require awarded contractors and their subcontractors to submit these certified payroll records. We will also perform on-site employee interviews and employee questionnaires. We will perform periodic spot checks to review the submitted CPRs and the related submissions, including the comparison of the on-site interviews. We ensure awarded contractors pay laborers and mechanics at least the locally prevailing wage, including fringe benefits. We identify potential willful violations and enforce corrective actions for identified errors. We thoroughly explore any evidence for violations, especially allegations of underpayment, and ensure full resolution of substantiated violations. Additionally, the Department of Housing will enforce the referral of potential criminal complex investigations, debarment, and quasi-liquidated damages to HUD and/or DOL Wage and Hour Division. We will pursue debarment and other available sanctions for contractors that repeatedly violate prevailing wage requirements and/or fail to properly carry out their labor standards responsibilities. Now let's look at what contractor responsibilities are. On DBRA covered projects, contractors and their subcontractors must agree to comply with all DBRA labor standards requirements and follow the requirements of the Department of Housing DBRA policy and the 4010 form requirements. You must ensure that no subcontracts or sub-tier subcontracts are awarded to federally debarred contractors. You should attend pre-bid and pre-construction meetings, participate in trainings, and proactively request technical assistance prior to and during construction, and enforce DBRA requirements throughout the duration of the DBRA covered project. Additionally, you should display the required posters and wage determinations prominently, and they should be very easily accessible at the work site. Maintain key information for laborers and mechanics, including name, address, etc. Pay laborers and mechanics employed directly on the site of the work at least the prevailing wage, which includes the fringe benefits. Submit your certified payrolls. Submit evidence pertaining to payments paid on behalf of laborers and mechanics into an approved fringe benefit program. Maintain detailed information regarding the use of apprentices, trainees, helpers, etc. You can locate the DBRA posters using the link on the slide. They're available in multiple languages, including English and Spanish. Exhibit N. This IFB includes HUD Form 4010, which outlines areas of compliance with DBRA. It also includes the wage decisions sheet, which is for residential construction for Puerto Rico. This can also be found on beta.sam.gov. Now let's look at attachment 5, which is your wage determination sheet as part of this IFB. Residential construction is considered those projects in which, for Davis-Bacon purposes, involve construction, alteration, or repair of single-family houses or apartment buildings of no more than 4 stories in height. This includes all incidental items such as site work, parking areas, utilities, streets, and sidewalks. Some of the examples are town or row houses, apartment buildings, single-family houses, mobile home developments, multifamily houses, and married student housing. For more information about how residential construction is classified, you can click on the link on the slide. Let's talk about contractor penalties and consequences for non-compliance with Davis-Bacon and the related acts. Contractors that are found to be in violation of DBRA may have contract payments withheld in sufficient amounts to satisfy the unpaid wages and liquidated damages that resulted from violations. You may be subject to debarment from future contracts for up to 3 years. You may have grounds to have your contract terminated in extreme cases. You may be subject to HUD sanctions denying participation in HUD programs or debarment from future HUD programs. You may be subject to civil or criminal prosecution, False Claims Act, etc. Now let's look at the resources that we provide. Department of Housing has a website which provides resources for posters, wages. There's also a contractor's guide and more. Use the link on the slide to access this information. Now let's look at training, documenting efforts, and reporting requirements. Civil rights compliance involves, once you are awarded a contract, you have the ability to participate in more detailed training sessions for your staff and yourselves to become knowledgeable on these compliance areas. We will send invitations for trainings both via Microsoft Teams and eventually in person when it's permissible and appropriate. Contractors will be notified of these trainings when they should be available. Documenting efforts and reporting. By clicking on the links in the slides, you can access the documentation of efforts template, which helps identify how and when you are performing efforts to be in compliance with Section 3 and MWBE. The quarterly reporting form is also available on the website. This is used throughout the year in order to continually monitor progress and show the types of efforts and numbers that you are providing for Section 3 and MWBE. The quarterly reporting form has a few areas. It collects Section 3 data for new hires and training, construction contracting, non-construction contracting, and your efforts. The same goes for MWBE, looking at efforts for contracting for minority business enterprises and women business enterprises, and also collecting information about your efforts. We also have reports that collect information about FHEO and also about Davis-Bacon unfound workers. Quarterly reporting is due on the following dates: for all activity from January through March on April 5th, on July 5th for activity from April through June, on October 5th for activity from July through September, and on January 5th for activity from October through December. Contractors will be responsible for reporting 4 times a year. Finally, let's look at some frequently asked questions. Can a business be both Section 3 and MWBE? Yes, a business or a subcontractor can be both because those compliance areas are actually separate. Section 3 identifies the level of incomes to determine your status. MWBE uses race and gender information to qualify a business. If I'm not planning on subcontracting, do I still need to complete documents? Yes, you should still submit your MWBE Utilization Plan, your Section 3 plan, and the Documentation of Efforts template, as well as your quarterly reports. If Section 3 doesn't apply to my contract, do I still have to complete the quarterly report? Yes, you will have to complete the MWBE report and the FHEO report areas. If I'm either an MBE or WBE, do I fulfill the total goals? You may have safe harbor for one of the goals for MWBE participation of 10%, but you will still have an additional 10% goal to show good faith efforts for any subcontracting or purchasing you perform with the CDBG-DR funding. What happens if I don't fulfill the goals before the end of my contract? All awarded contractors should perform and document efforts. PRDOH has developed templates discussed in this presentation that will help you complete this exercise. You can submit a waiver before the end of your contract for approval. This waiver request should be submitted with the efforts and justifications as appropriate. The wage determination applicable for my project does not contain a class of workers that is needed to complete construction. Can other worker classifications and wage rates be approved for use on the project? Prior to bid opening, if the only classification that will perform work on the contract is not listed on a general wage determination for the type of construction in the area, the contracting or assisting agency may submit an SF-308 request for a project wage determination for the application to that project. In order to assure the special treatment of a request when the circumstance exists, a note explaining the special circumstance should be made in the project description block of SF-308. After contract award, if the contract wage determination does not contain a class of workers that is needed to complete the construction, a contractor shall submit to the contracting officer a request for the addition of the needed classifications of laborers or mechanics not listed in the wage determination, together with proposed wage rates and fringe benefits conformable to the wage determination. Do I need to provide a statement of compliance with my certified payroll? While completion of the actual form itself, WH-347, is optional, it is mandatory for covered contractors and subcontractors performing work on federally financed or assisted construction contracts to respond to the information collected within 29 CFR 3.3 5.5a. The Copeland Act 40 U.S.C. 3145, contractors and subcontractors performing work on federally financed or assisted construction contracts to furnish weekly a statement with respect to the wages paid each employee during the preceding week. The Department of Labor regulations at 29 CFR also require contractors to submit weekly a copy of all payrolls to the federal agency contracting for or financing the construction project, accompanied by a signed statement of compliance, indicating that the payrolls are correct and complete and that each laborer or mechanic has been paid not less than the proper Davis-Bacon prevailing wage rate for the work performed. DOL and federal contracting agencies receiving this information review the information to determine that employees have received legally required wages and fringe benefits. Mari Carmen, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ivana. Well, finally, thank you for attending today's training. We hope you found the material helpful. Please remember to direct all your questions through the established protocols for this procurement. William and the PRDOH procurement team, thank you for the opportunity to present this material today. I will stop sharing the presentation so you can continue with the session.
Thank you, Maria. Well, let me remind you again about the next significant date. It is that you have until February 25th to submit questions or inquiries for clarification regarding this invitation for bids. We noticed some questions in the Q&A section of this meeting, and some of them have been answered. Nonetheless, answers to the questions will be published through Addenda in the CDBG-DR website. This meeting has been recorded and will be posted in the CDBG-DR website under this procedure link for yours and public reference. Thanks again. We appreciate very much your interest and participation. Keep safe and have a nice day. Bye-bye.